Ready? Hydrate. Timer. Oh. Timer. 15 minutes. A few weeks later, once we had finished our sessions, Tessa emailed that she had found Rana L. Calaboy's story in Girl Decoded inspirational. And while she didn't intend to traverse oceans and begin a new life elsewhere, she wanted to revisit a project close to her heart, opening her own interior design consultancy. She had even pulled together a business plan and applied for financing. She mentioned that in a couple of months, Ava would be starting nursery 3 days a week, and this would give her more time to spend developing the business. On reading this, I smiled. For the first time, Tessa was taking charge. She was finally feeling confident again. I was surprised to learn she had made an application to the bank. She was thinking ahead and had already built in a plan for childcare too. She hadn't had a chance to read Julia Baird's Victoria the Queen yet, but it was next on her list. Bibliotherapists spend their lives rummaging through libraries, bookstores, other people's bookshelves, even university archives and museum collections, all in the hope that they can offer readers access to new worlds, spaces, thoughts, people, and feelings. Think of us as personalized literary search engines. Sometimes the works we recommend push emotional buttons, trigger nostalgic memories, and facilitate leaps of imagination. This is the power of reading. Tessa leveraged this power, and it allowed her to make remarkable progress. She went from uncertainty to conviction, and it allowed her to settle on a future path. I wondered if she would see me again. 25 weeks later, Tessa launched her own interior design consultancy. She sent me a thoughtful email thanking me for the recommendations and insights, and also invited me to her launch party in London. She was gracious and appreciative. I was touched by her kind words, and upon reading them, I felt this was my, as Virginia Woolf would so aptly put it, moment of vision, a reminder of why I do the work I do, and a sign that bibliotherapy is slowly but surely working its magic. So, Bibliotherapy Toolkit. Bibliotherapy techniques used. Literary reflective practice using novel and memoir therapy. Recommended for empathy and self-understanding, processing feelings of helplessness and powerlessness, finding your voice and inner power, your agency, and feeling seen. Books prescribed: Rachel Cusk's A Life's Work, Elena Ferrante's The Lost Daughter, Rana L. Calaboy's Girl Decoded, Julia Baird's Victoria the Queen. Bibliotherapy techniques applied, key takeaways and exercises. Literary reflective practice using novel and memoir therapy. The key takeaways. Novels and memoirs behave similarly, offering a space for readers to connect and resonate with the feelings of characters or memoirists. See Literary Reflective Practice Framework on page 74 of this book. The exercise. Reflect on a passage, page, or sentence that has specific resonance. What was it about this page, passage, or sentence that connected with you? How did it make you feel? What feelings came up for you? If you're struggling with labeling the feeling, this list might help, inspired by Brené Brown's Atlas of the Heart. The challenging or painful emotions could be stress, overwhelm, anxiety, worry, excitement, dread, fear, vulnerability, anger, self-righteousness, heartbreak, betrayal, hurt, disconnection, feeling invisible, loneliness, shame, guilt, humiliation, embarrassment, anguish, despair, sadness, hopelessness, grief, envy, jealousy, resentment, boredom, disappointment, regret, frustration, or confusion. Positive emotions: joy, happiness, calm, contentment, gratitude, relief, tranquility, love, trust, belonging, connection, compassion, empathy, hope, admiration, awe, wonder, curiosity, surprise, yearning, nostalgia, and amusement. What meanings do you draw from your feelings? What would you like to share about this experience with someone close to you? Upon reflection, what lessons can you draw from this experience? This should bring a sense of conclusion and closure on anything that's bothering you. Remember to be self-compassionate and/or practice self-forgiveness. Equally, it's important to forgive others for hurts in the past so that you can move forward. With the awareness and understanding you have gained, how would you like to move forward? This could be a new way of looking at things. New perspectives bring different ways of being and new outlooks. It could be that you set new goals or make new resolutions. It could even be saying no to someone or something, drawing stronger boundaries, or taking some time out to think. Whatever it is, this exercise should help bring clarity and focus, especially when we are feeling overwhelmed, confused, powerless, or indecisive. Oh, we're into chapter 6, Annette and David. Love enjoys knowing everything about you. Desire needs mystery. Love likes to shrink the distance that exists between me and you, while desire is energized by it. If intimacy grows through repetition and familiarity, eroticism is numbed by repetition. And that's from the wonderful Esther Perel, Mating in Captivity. Client notes. Annette and David are seeking reconnection and romance through literature so that they can focus on being a couple again. Annette and David's story is not uncommon. The birth of 3 kids in quick succession has completely changed their relationship. And with 3 young boys, now aged 7, 5, and 3, domesticity and practicality had got in the way of intimacy, excitement, and desire. It was almost impossible to find time for romance, but as renowned couples therapist Esther Perel writes in Mating in Captivity, quote, "For erotically intelligent couples, love is a vessel that contains both security and adventure, and commitment offers one of the great luxuries of life, time. Marriage is not the end of romance, it is the beginning. They know that they have years in which to deepen their connection, to experiment, to regress, and even to fail. They see their relationship as something alive and ongoing, not a fait accompli. It's a story that they are writing together, one with many chapters, and neither partner knows how it will end. There's always a place they haven't gone yet, always something about the other still to be discovered." End of quote. Commitment should not mark the end of excitement and passion. Instead, it should be the start of a fascinating journey together, where we are willing to take risks to discover parts of each other we have never known, or to experiment in new ways, constantly reinventing ourselves and the relationship to keep novelty and wonder alive, and to avoid the stagnancy that the routine of domesticity brings. Annette and David had come to see me as they wanted to rekindle that romantic spark in their marriage through literature. The goal of our sessions was to find ways for them to reconnect with the feelings they might have experienced at the start of their relationship, so they could remember why they fell in love with each other in the first place. When you're first getting to know someone, it's exciting. Suddenly, a future filled with endless possibilities opens up, and there is also the naive promise of wholeness, of oneness. However, with time, we discover that perfection in a relationship isn't possible, nor is it desirable. No couple is perfect. There will always be difference that we live with, that we embrace, and that's what true love is. If we try to combine the giddiness and affection at the start of a relationship with the loyalty and commitment that only develop over time, we can nourish and recharge our connection with our partner. David and Annette were childhood sweethearts who had met in secondary school. Originally from Normandy in France, Annette had moved to North London with her parents and met David while studying for her A-levels. They had both chosen English A-level and often found themselves discussing homework after class. David lived 5 minutes away from Annette, so he would often walk her home after school. There had been this undeniable chemistry between them. For David, He remembered not being able to take his eyes off Annette in those first few months of getting to know each other. Annette had found David incredibly attractive, easy to talk to, and kind. The relationship began as a platonic one, but it wasn't long before it transformed into a romantic one. They would spend most weekends together, studying at each other's houses, playing badminton with friends, or going to the cinema on a Saturday night. David went on to pursue law at a university in the Midlands, while Annette decided to become a teacher and complete her training in London. Their relationship became a long-distance one for a while, but they spent as many weekends as possible together during the 3 years that David was away. It was hard at times, but they made it work. David secured a training contract at a small law firm in London, and they moved in together in a spacious 2-bedroom flat in North London, not far from both sets of parents. Annette found a teaching post at a local state school. Life was good, and while they had their ups and downs like any other couple, they had settled into a routine. Marriage had not always been on the cards. Neither of them had strong feelings about it. Their desire for children and a wish to eventually start a family led them to tie the knot in a small, beautiful ceremony in Brittany after 12 years of being together. Ironically, though, once they had children, their relationship started to falter. Family life, especially with young children, can often feel routine and repetitive, making us all the more nostalgic for the excitement and fun and unpredictability that a blossoming relationship offers. When we reach crisis point, though, we must learn to rediscover ourselves and each other again, even amidst the frenzy of caring for others. This journey back to ourselves brings newness and excitement, while also allowing us to revisit memories of how things used to be. Ultimately, it's not about changing ourselves, but inviting our partner to see us with new eyes. As Proust wrote, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Annette and David were going to have to explore their relationship from new vantage points and invite change into their very busy lives. Rather than ruminating on the festering issues, I wanted to focus on how they could feel better together in the present moment. Bibliotherapy was a natural fit for them, as they were both voracious readers. I wanted their passion for reading to reunite them as a couple and restore some of the emotional intimacy that was now lacking in their relationship. Date night book club. As cheesy as it might be, a date night book club was my key literary prescription. What better way to spend quality time together than by reading side by side and connecting over engaging and animated discussion. This was also my way of disrupting the domestic routine of which they had grown weary. My challenge was finding something that they would both enjoy. David was into nonfiction, particularly autobiography and business, as well as travel and nature writing. Some of his favorite books included Walter Isaacson's Steve Jobs, Christopher Bell's Churchill and the Dardanelles, and Robert Macfarlane's Underland. Annette, on the other hand, loved literary fiction, as well as fantasy and historical fiction. Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall trilogy was the perfect confluence of her reading tastes. I instinctively reached for memoir. It offers a narrative structure which would suit Annette, but also offers real-life detail which would appeal to David. I also kept in mind that both were drawn to history, so we arrived at Bernard D. Brown's Dear Selma, a World War II love letter romance. This is an epistolary memoir of Bernard's experiences as a teenager during the Second World War, from training in an army college in Oklahoma to fighting on the front line in France and Germany, all the while writing letters to his childhood friend Selma. It's a story of war, but also a chronicle of their love, and Bernard's letters perfectly encapsulate how their friendship evolved into romance. There's something about reading the story of a couple falling in love that persuades us to try harder at our own relationships, We find inspiration in their stories, wanting to emulate them. In addition, we're drawn to their experiences so that we can learn how to optimize ours. Coupled with the backdrop of war, we are pulled into a tense space where the sense of danger and uncertainty brings both the readers and the characters closer together. Ooh! See you tomorrow for the next 15 minutes. Woohoo!